Hi everybody, my name is Rando Quintero and today I'm going to teach you how to draw this. This is something very important that have been pointed to me that people would like to learn, and it seems like I can draw them very well, so why not do a tutorial about it. So let's get into it right now. Hi everybody, so what we have now here is an anatomical figure, and this will serve as an example to show you a little bit about the rib cage and the torso. By seeing this, you can compare and see the shape of the rib cage, which I think is one of the most important elements for placing muscles, and in this case the breast. I like to keep in mind certain things, and one of the things is that, as I mentioned in the demo, I like to have and keep at least a plane in the top of the figure, and that plane will be flat, although when you say flat, on the profile side still has an angle. From that angle the breast will flow, okay? To be more precise, I'll guess it's from the collarbone to the here, to the gap where all the pectoral muscles collide and connect. And when I'm placing the breast, I like to occupy all this area. I don't go inside of this area because the breast will have enough room to rest on top of the rib cage, and this area is pretty important as a plane that I would like to keep. It's like a triangle for me, and that triangle will help you to locate better all the muscles and all the flow of the anatomy. As you can see, there's a flow that comes from the pectoral muscle down to the abdomen. Okay, so that triangle here will help you to place the breast and have a better proportion. We're gonna see that in the drawings that we're gonna do next. Okay, while I draw these torsos, I would like to thank you all the supporters who have been going through my channel and have been supporting me through these months. I still have a few goals I want to reach. Make sure to check out that page. I always post exclusive sketches. I have my Jiggly Girls as well updated there. I have different content. Now I'm doing this tutorial, and I'm looking forward to do new tutorials about the hands, about how to draw feet, and I would like your support to do these videos because, well, it takes some time. I have to do research, and I think it's really good because I have seen people who have been talking to me in conventions and telling me how these videos have been helping them to draw and how they feel motivated. So I think it's a good help for everybody, as well though for those who are following me, so I can produce more materials and more art books and stickers and stuff, and all that. I would like to thank everybody who has been on the channel and who has been checking my streams and buying all the prints and buying all the sketchbooks. I'm really thankful for the support. I didn't think it was going to be that much, so it's pretty cool, especially when I meet them in conventions. Okay, and this is the reaching point. I hope you continue enjoying the video. I'm sorry for my English, a little bit weird sometimes, so we'll deal with it, and I hope you learn a bunch about drawing breasts. Okay, before we talk about how to draw the breast and dig deep into it, I want to show you these two drawings that I found really important. Is that this both represents the areas where the fat tissue of the female form tends to concentrate, and obviously the ones we're talking right now is the breast. And as you can see, the breasts have that rounded shape, kind of like a little bit of an oval shape, and it goes and blends with the pectoral muscle. As you can see here in the profile view and on the front view, the placement of the breast is located, I would say, kind of like a halfway of the rib cage, but again, it depends on the kind of breast that you are planning to draw. The shape of this is an oval, and that oval shape has a form and has contours. So I think that when we draw the breast, we have to envision and think about how the form will read in a three-dimensional way, and that is the challenge I feel for when drawing breast, is to really give form and understand the form of the breast, and also think about the subtleties of the breast. Here, that this is where the fat blends with the muscles and connects to the whole anatomy. This is the idea that I want you to have and keep, okay? we see how the form actually like flows from the muscle to the breast, and then think about the weight of the breast and how that's affecting with the gravity and all that. That's why when you go to the nipple here, then you can start turning like from this side like this, and this tissue will blend with the pectoral muscle, and then you will have the deltoid muscle coming on top of that. Okay, so it's about how things flows with the breast. It's like a flowy form. And with this, I'm gonna move to some other examples. I would like to show you a little bit of the physics of the breast, because if it's around the shape, the location of the nipple will go around this way and like an opening, you know. So if we mark here, then you will see that we have like da, 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 da. That will be a good way to find the nipples. When you squeeze them together, so as you squeeze them together, you start seeing how you get a center flat line in the middle, and the breast will be resting on the rib cage and on the chest. In a profile view, the breast will have more weight, and I will show you that in a drawing. But the thing to keep in mind is how it changes shape according to what is affecting it. So if you squish it, it will become flat on the sides, and if you go like down, then you will see how it becomes flat on the bottom, and then there's roundness on the sides of the breast. And that's how you like gonna squeeze and think about that when you're like drawing. So if we have a surface, let's say this glass, and we put them together, you'll see how the shape will adapt to the contour of the solid shape. Since this is a solid shape and this is soft, what is gonna change is the soft shape, and you can see how it creates these lines here. That describes the area where the breast and the glass is touching. Okay, and that's one of the things that we have to keep in mind when we are drawing the breast. Something is like pressing on the side, like see how it changed the contour and changed the way it is. You see there is a dip on the side, but then the breast comes in contact with the glass and all that. So that's it, guys. I just wanted to make this a little bit more fun if you have like breasts like this. Okay, so in this part of the video I want to start drawing the breast, and for that I did already a few torsos ready to go for this example, and I wanted to show you what I think when I draw this breast. And I like to have the construction of the body done, or at least have a quick construction of how the torso will look like, and then on top of that I draw the breast, because I think it makes more sense as the rib cage is a solid. It's made of bone, so it's pretty solid. So therefore, it's taken as a structure. Okay. And as for the breast, like I explained before, I like to keep in mind this separation here, like a flat section of the pectoral muscles, and then from there we can grow and we can start drawing the breast. Keep in mind the center line is really important, because that center line will dictate where you start the boobs, or sorry, the breast. And I like to keep a little bit of separation here, because there's a separation on the sternum. And I like to draw the breast, and from this point I like to go down and connect, you know, with this line here. I think about the weight. I think about the weight, and I think about the shade that blends and comes from the chest. Same with this one. I draw this, and then I start like on top of that I start like thinking about the space that the breast cover on top of the chest. Okay, for the breast that is on the more of a profile side view, I like to start defining a little bit of the nipple, and I think for like finding the nipple, you can have a line coming from the center of the collarbone and then go down. That will be a good place to place the nipple in general. So the nipple goes like this, bam, and then you get the breast. Okay, so that's basically kind of the process that I go for when drawing breast. You have to keep in mind the flow. You have to keep the flow going from the breast, from the pectoral muscle, and the flow with the breast. Okay, I'm gonna do another one. I have a few torsos that I drew here, and I want to show you how can we draw this breast, and thinking by having already the placement of the torso, we can, as I said, have like a little bit of a section here. It's a flat section, really important, because I see many people that can draw the breast just almost way too high, so you have to let them fall and have some kind of weight. Always think about the center line, and then from there you can, I like to think about how the weight of the breast is pushing it downwards. That means that you have to create that, you have to feel the weight here, around here is the weight, and then you let it all flow around. And then if I want to translate this breast to the other side, I just do a line, straight line here, so I have a sense and a reference from where that line will go when I'm drawing the most frontal facing breast, because you know the breasts are not like looking at you forward. There's gonna tilt there. So then after I had that quick measure there, I like to keep it rounded, and then there you go, and then you have the other one here too, and that's it. Then I go for the center bone of the collarbone here, and then I draw this line and this line. Think about the three-dimensionality of the breast, okay? That way you can achieve a better like dynamic sense of how things are placed. Even when it says that the nipple could be here, you can force it and put it like more on the side, kind of like makes a better shape. But let's follow the here in this one, so you can actually be more accurate there. Okay, so that's kind of like the placement of the breast. And if I wanted to make it like larger, let me reduce this here so you have a better look. So if you want to make them larger and make it bigger, I think the breast will increase from this point and then make them bigger from this point here. You see? So you increase from this point and from this point, from there where the breast starts forming. Then you increase that shape, always pulling down to this side, not pulling down here or here. It has to have, the reason why it's on this direction is because of the rib cage is rounded, so the surface and the breast tissue and all that is resting on top of that. That's why they have that curve here is more intense on this side. I do the same line here to translate the shape and the proportions, and then I go ahead and I go a little bit bigger here. Same with this, and there you go. Okay, because this is a sketch, well, you can go later on and then fix it and make it better and all that. But that's a way to increase the the size of the breast, you know, that it can be useful. And another sample here, let's try something more, a little bit more flat chested. I guess that could help too, to understand a little bit. So as I said, have a separation here, have a section that is flat. It's a plane that's flat, and then from that point you start increasing the size of the breast. And I think like from here, like from this point you start increasing the size and then making it smaller. I think when the breasts are smaller, are more sharper, the cuts are more sharper and it's not as rounded, and their line is not completely fully like this. It's just a suggestion of that breast, you know. It's a few marks, so the brain will close the shape. Okay, so if you have a few marks, then you have a smaller breast, and you can have them here. I already do the nipple placement on my own because I have done many breasts and many studies, so I know where to place it. But as I said before, that's a good way to like have these like wrapping around, and same with this wrapping around. There's a good place where you can, a good location for the nipple, maybe too much. So you have to kind of figure out where it looks better, and it depends as well on the design or the character too. Also the center line, as I was saying. Okay, keep that center line in mind, and then from that you can start you know, translating the breast and all that through to both sides. This is another one, and on this case I'm gonna have I'm gonna do the same, so you see what I want to do. I have like a section here, that plane that is flat, and then from that point I start building and start creating a little bit more of that shape. I think about the rib cage, and then from that point also the center line is important. Have a little bit of separation here, and then start from this point and then push it down like this direction. For drawing breasts or flesh in general, like you have to think about like gravity. You have to think about gravity, what's happening around the shape, what is affecting the shape of the and the mass of that breast or butt cheeks. Then translate here. Sometimes the breast will let you see some of this of the side of the torso, and that's something like that. Those are subtle things that will sell the effect that there's one plane here and then there's another plane here, and then there you have that chest there. Okay, and I like to have a little bit of shadow here, you know, and then from the center line we try to wrap around these lines, try to find the center between here, and then place the nipple. Okay, that's a good way of placing the nipple on the breast. So what is important is like when you see the nipple on like a frontal view, you get something like this, but as it starts turning, you start getting more of an ellipsis, and then you have the nipple more on this side, you know. So you have to think about that, how the nipple, and according to the breast, has there's the nipple placement, you know. So from there you can grow the nipple, okay, or you can have your own designs. That's up to you. There's many kind of nipples anyway you can use. There's some of them are more like a cowboy hat, you know, so you can use that. So that's important to have that way of thinking. Like everything has to be rounded, and everything has to be have to make sense, have to have like a sense of gravity, like I was saying here, sense of gravity and sense of gravity. Obviously you will have to use shadows to convey the effect that actually the breasts are creating shadow over the body. You know, that comes from when you're doing the shading. And on a more profile view of the breast, again, I think it's important to keep a plane that is flat, and then from that point start increasing the breast. And on this size, I'm gonna go on this occasion. I will work on the profile view and then let it flow there. Same with this, let it flow there. And these are like a small breast, you see. And then it flows with the shoulder muscles, pectoral muscles, and it flows. That's very important to keep in mind. Probably here I made like too much of the plane. Always feel free to correct. We are not perfect, so. And then the nipple will be around here. You see, that's a good place to locate the nipple. There, and then we have the other one here. Okay, so when it's a profile view of the breast, I like to render or draw the breast more like this, as I was explaining. Then you get some weight on the breast. Here's the weight here. And if you want to place the nipple, I found that is appealing and kind of works, is to follow this, follow the flow of the line, and then follow the flow of this line, and then create an extra kind of like a bump, and then on that bump you have the nipple. So it flows with the breast, but there's a slight change on the texture and I guess on the form because of that. Then later on you can blend a little bit more, and with coloring obviously it will look way better. But then you start seeing, like, I like to make these lines a little bit more lighter, so it feels more fleshy and more united, as where if having like really thick lines, it won't help you much. So those are kind of like some of the breast examples that I do, and that's how the way I draw breast. And now I'm gonna go for a little bit more bigger size that many people like to draw, and that's where things you have to keep in mind, don't get it too crazy. Sometimes you can get really crazy, but let's do a bigger size breast, and I'm gonna like make it like until here. It's good to have like a certain way of proportion. Okay, so you see, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how big the breasts are. They always have this section here that's a flat plane, and you need to have that flow to make it look more natural, more fleshy, more appealing. So you see how big I'm doing this is because I think about how the lines are being pulled to the sides due to the rib cage. And you go that way, then you unite the other one with the pectoral muscle, and then you get it. Okay, you get a bigger breast, and then some shadow for that as well. Where you find the nipples again, you do this line, you do the other one, and you kind of like place it here. It's a good way. I highly recommend you use practice from photos, live drawing. It's really important. Learn, observe, and practice this. Also, it's important when drawing breasts, when there are no bra or bikini, is to have a gap, separation between them, you know, because that's where the sternum goes. You know, they have a sternum, they have a separation. There's a separation between the pectoral muscles, and you need to have that gap there. Plus, it will look pretty good if you have some kind of highlights around here. It will help to sell the roundness of the breast. Okay. Same with this. I have that separation from the pectoral shoulder muscle here. That's my section here. Then I kind of decide how big it's gonna be, having a little bit of proportion there, and then keep in mind the center line of the body, and then from there you can start growing a little bit more of the breast. They're gonna, as the body is in more in a 3/4 view, the breast on this side is gonna be way more bigger, and it will dictate a little bit more and the shape or the overall shape of the breast. And I like to go from here, as I'll explain, with the nipple, and I like to have that like little bit of a bump there. So it's about subtle lines connecting and creating that fleshy aspect. And I have some shadow here. Then I go for the other one. I have this line, I translate it here. Then I think about the weight, I think where it should go. Then here now, obviously the breast is going to be kind of big, so you need to have that more rounded. It will go like this much, you know. And since this is it's just drawing, you know, you can't really make it as big as you want. It's just important to have then this connection and all that like really well placed. I translate this to here, you know. You can translate in a little bit more rounded way, but since the perspective of the structure that I made is kind of like frontal, there's not too much foreshortening or perspective, I just translate with this line here, bring this other one here, and then I kind of find the place of the nipple. I like to describe a little bit here and there you go. There you have the other one. It's important that maybe if the breast is too big, you will have, maybe when the breast is too big, you will have to kind of like squeeze this and make it like make sense with the whole breast being kind of like the pressure of the gravity. Okay, so that's how I go for that. You can always in Photoshop go ahead and increase the size of this, but be careful, because the bigger they goes, the weird start looking. And if it gets too crazy and weird, I found that many artists, especially anime artists, they extend a little bit more the rib cage, and sometimes the rib cage can be like this much, it can go down, and then you can translate that, making them a little bit thicker, so it makes more sense because a thicker body will have thicker breast, like that. You see, so you can adjust a little bit around that drawing or that proportion that you want to achieve. And let's do it another one here, used for the sake of it, so you have a better understanding. It's very important, the flow from the deltoids to the chest, have that plane here. It's very important, have that plane, the collarbone, the center line, and then from that point start find the proportion or the how big you want the breast. Always think about that center line, leave a little bit of a gap here, and then from that point start increasing the size, and there you go. I'm not going to be explaining all sizes of how to draw every size of breast, because that's more for you to do your research, and there are so many ways you can draw. There are different kind of breasts, there are different kind of taste. This is the kind of like a good shape that I find appealing and that you can use. As you can see, I left the space, the gap there. It's very important. And then I go for the nipple, try to find the nipple that I draw here, I replace it, and then have the other one here. Okay, so that's important. Have that there. Have some shadow under the breast that will help to sell and separate the the rib cage and the torso from the breast. It will create that effect that is all over the chest. That's why I draw the torso first, because instead of like going ahead and drawing the breast, it won't make that much sense. You can have a lot of mistakes just by drawing the breast straight to that point. You can also think about this as a more like a kind of like a drop shape. I think I already explained that in the other one, but that's another way to see how it flows. It's interesting. It's important to know the flow, to understand this flow here from the pectoral muscle to the breast, and another one, and this one, because I guess like the shape is really pretty much the same. Let me try to find another one that is more probably on this side. Have this, and then you have like a separation, as I said before. The more you do it, the more you keep in mind, and you just, instead of thinking about the separation, you just go straight and then you start making the breast appear there. Think about the three-dimensionality of the rib cage, and then on top of that we place the breast. Think about how it will flow from the pectoral muscle, how the other one kind of like duplicating that shape again. And I found that probably I need to push them more down here. Something interesting is that instead of going, since it's more of a profile view, instead of going with this shape all the way, try to be more subtle and let the eye complete the shape of the breast just by having this line more thinner, then have a gap, empty gap, and then have a description here of the muscles and the shape going down. Okay, then have a straight line, and you can draw the nipples on top of it. It's all about placement. It's all about understanding that there is a rib cage under it, and then from that you can draw whatever you want on the breast and whatever you want to do. Okay, so that's basically how I draw the breast. And if you go for like a lower point of view, and then we can have like the rib cage here, have the rib cage, they have the collarbone, and then we can have that gap here affected by the perspective. Same with this, the rib cage, and then the breast will go from here. So when the body and the perspective change, it changes as well the position of the breast. You know, this is looking from a lower point of view. You have the gap in the center, and then you have the other one. The nipples will go and wrap around the same shape as the rib cage. Then you can have the nipple here, and then you can have that nice shape. Always having that sense of weight on the side of the breast. You can even increase it a little bit more. You can make it more heavy. You can make it heavier here by having a more quick, a faster, I would say faster, a sharp change here. Make a little more of a sharp change, then start like feeling more weight here. You see? And then you have the pectoral muscle, you have the gap that we were talking about, and well, whatever it is that you're gonna draw, probably the shoulder, you wanna have the shoulder there. But at least have the sense of the rib cage and the torso, and then you can start playing with that perspective and all that, you know. It feels more like this shape, like this side. Okay, so that will be one of the things. And of course add some shadows around here, See how it's rounded because of the rib cage, as well as rounded here because of the breast. So it's a really soft shadow there. I can have the shadow here. Let me clean a little bit more of this so you can see the final kind of result of it. I have some section there in the center. Let this flow better. And there you go. Okay, you can have some shading later on. You can shade a little bit here, and then you'll make that breast shape more rounded. Okay, so that was a okay. The previous one was from the lower point of view. This is gonna be from a higher point of view, and the same. Leave a gap here for the chest. Remember here the pectoral muscle flow. Remember the center line is really important. Center line of the rib cage, center line of the body, and then from that have the flow. You have to think about how the arms are gonna affect the mass. That's why I say I have studies and all that. I already show you with the balloons what happens. And if you have an arm there, then you have to think about how that shape will be affected. Okay, how it will be affected by the shape of the arm. Obviously, it's gonna be more. It's gonna be pushing the breast to this side, so you're gonna do that here, and then the other one might be pushed a little bit further to the other side because, well, they're pushing each other. Try to find the nipple. Think about the roundness of the breast, and then let it go down this much, or this much here. And then with some shadows, you can create a little bit more of a sense of a mass. Always think about this pulling down. And I think about this shape, if I have to give like a contour, I think about this shape that is doing this, you see? And this one is more like this, yeah, like this, and like this. Sometimes because of the weight and the position of the body, you will have a breast that is a little bit weight, has more weight, putting a little bit more down. One is being affected, and one is not being affected by the arm, but it's affected by the mass around it. Okay, so that's how you start making it more natural. Is by thinking about how things are being affected by the body and the surrounding of the figure. Okay, right here we'll have the nipple going a little bit down to help with the perspective, like around here, around here, and there you go. It's a good exercise just to draw the torso and then draw the breast. Okay, so you see how things start, like, because of the shape and everything, start making more sense. Let's say there's a wall here, boom, and then she has like a big breast. So again, remember, have a section here for the breast, have a section here, have a section on the pectoral area, and then from there let it flow. But what happens when you're gonna let it flow and there's a surface? Well, the surface is not gonna be affected by the breast, so it's gonna be hard. So that means the breast is gonna be affected by it. And that means that there's going to be some squishy form here. Notice how the shape will go. So the more pressure, if there's a little bit pressure, it will be like this. If you have more pressure, it will be like this, you know. But anyway, let's try here. I do the first one, I think about the side one, and then I think about the other one here, and then I think about the other one. Kind of close, but kind of big too. You see? So now that's how kind of like one breast is pushed there. Maybe if the wall was until here, we can have something better for that. But I forgot about the center line. Have the center line, have the other breast, and then if the other breast is not affected, well, it will flow like normal, like the other one. Sorry, I think I'm too close. It will flow. It will have a better flow. Probably cover a little bit of the other one because of the perspective and all of that. So you see. Okay, now if it's a tight suit or if a tight outfit, you will have to think about everything that I already explained, but now you have to think about what is being affected. If it's if it's let's have a tie suit there, you will have to obviously have the proportions, have the center space as I explained, and the breast, have a light sketch about the breast here, center line here, have a little bit of a gap. So if I'm drawing something that is holding the breast, I have to think about it. I have to think, well, what is the shape of that? If it's coming from the breast, if it's coming from the neck, like this. If it's like a swimsuit, then the swimsuit will be pulling up, and it will follow the roundness of the breast. But since we're having the breast is a soft tissue, and it has been pressed by this, saying the breast will expand, I guess, trying to find a way to escape from all that pressure, and then you can have some of the breasts being pushed here. We have more roundness. So that will be the sketch. I guess I can make it bigger. And you can always, once you sketch the breast and the location or whatever you want to have, or you can want to make it more tight here, then you can reduce the opacity and draw the breast and everything like in a more easy and completed version of the sketch that we already did. So I follow this. I like to keep the shape. I think about the roundness. I think about the bikini here. Then I think about the breast that is trying to escape this living hell. Then I go for the other one. Why not like rotate the canvas? Use the tools. Let it flow. I go down here, and then I have the breast showing, the other one showing here. Notice that it's like one tan. It has like 3 steps there. Instead of like having all soft and then doing that breast, it looks okay, but it doesn't feel that weight. And then you want to achieve is that there's weight on the breast, and then it's being affected by the cloth. Same here, And if I want to detail and give you a better like view of what I'm doing, of the effect that I'm talking about, let me go with a more finished kind of like sensibility here. So I go from the breast that is going through the side, and then I think about the cloth, I think about the folds, the pressure, then I think about the bikini doing pressure here, and then you can have this line, subtle line here, then you have that breast coming out. Okay. So that's basically how I approach drawing this. So, and if you're working on like rendering, you can have like a highlight here. It will help the whole thing look better. And also with the highlights, think about the roundness of this shape. Think about the roundness. Think about the roundness. And then think about the lighting. I guess the lighting is coming this way. So the highlight should be here. It should be a little bit more like a lipstick style shape, because obviously the breast is expanded and it's more like a kind of like a bullet highlight, I guess. And then you can have the highlight here. Okay, that's how you can place the highlight on the breast. And it's up to you to study a little bit more of the rendering, but that's kind of like why I wanted to explain this video. I'm gonna make this line thicker for everybody to make it easier to understand. Thicker here, the flow. Let me turn off the sketch under it. Let me finish a little bit this, you know. Let's say this is the line, so you have the torso, here. The center line is really important when drawing. People underestimate that center line, and that's why many people have the problem that the drawings are flat and it's not rounded. It's because they don't think about the center line and even the side lines. That will give you more of a three-dimensional effect when you're drawing your figures. Okay. Then you have the neck. And you have the arms, whatever the arms were doing. So you have there some breast. And as I said before, have some shadow that will help you sell the separation and all that. And that's it. Have fun drawing breast. I hope you haven't. Okay. Okay, and I'm gonna draw again a little bit of the smaller breast for people who are interested. Again, have the separation here, and instead of going all rounded like this, just go from the flow and have just a little bit. Have a little bit. If the breasts are small, make sure you know where is that rib cage located. You know, that rib cage here and here. So make sure to know where is the placement of that. Then you have like a small mark suggesting the roundness. Then you have the nipples, that and the nipple here, and that's a small breast. If you want to increase it, then you start making more. You start making this line more. You start how you call it? More. So if you want to like okay. So if you want to make this breast more rounded and more fleshy and bigger, then you can start a little bit more, adding more of that line, adding more of that shape, expanding a little bit more. Then you have a bigger breast size, and then you here as well start expanding a little bit more of that line and making a little bit of a shadow. And if you want it bigger, then you go more bigger then, you know. But always the start point and here are really important to keep in mind. When expanding the size, always expand the size, the breast to the sides, okay? And you will have a better flow on that. It's important to understand anatomy, as you can see. Understand anatomy, understand the shape, understand the rib cage, and then you can place better things and place better the clothes and the marks that I'm talking about, okay? And let's do another one here. Let's say that the glass is really like from this point here, from this point. So what you're gonna have is like this is a glass, this is a glass, and then the breast will come here, and then it will start having pressure on the glass, This is the area where the breasts are touching the glass. Same like these are the area where the breasts are touching the glass, and then you have that shape start round. The circle or breasts start closing more and more. You know, start closing more and more, and there's weight on the side. Even here, you can have a little bit here and there. Okay, so you have to think about all those things like weight, and think about the physics, the logics of the physics, and then try to make it rounded and do a lot of studies. You know, this is a good way to understand how I approach this. And when I'm drawing, I just don't do all that stuff. I just go ahead. I just like make small marks, and then from the marks I already know, like here, and then so I'm making the breast. I think sometimes I go here and make it more rounded. Make sure that the shape is rounded. Make sure that you work on that line, and that it has that weight. Always look at reference when you're doing this. Don't get distracted by the reference too much. Just think how you can render, and look to other artists that to draw breasts and all that in their characters, and see how the rendering and which part are important to keep in mind. As I said, you see how important it is to have that separation of the breast and the pectoral muscle. Really important. There's always like a tiny gap there. You always have to have it. It's pretty important, you know. And sometimes you can have a little bit of the back of the body showing, but that depends on the pose and all that. Okay guys, thank you very much for watching this video. If you have any questions, please let me know. Please support new videos on my Patreon. I'll be working on new tutorials about how to draw hands and all that, and how to draw feet. And I would like to have your support for future videos. Check my channels and check my social media. You will find a bunch of great stuff and a bunch of boobs and breasts. So have fun and go and draw more. Thank you very much.